morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Friday, June 10th, 2016. I am Dave Biddle, very happy to be joined by Alex Gleitman. Alex, the Tri-State Showcase Satellite Camp was held in New Jersey Wednesday afternoon. You were there covering it. Talk about the impact that it had on Ohio State from your perspective.
It was a great event. It was I've never actually seen anything like it in person. I've been to Ohio State camps. I've been to Friday Night Lights. This was just a special event. It was really cool. It was a great opportunity for me, honestly, to get a chance to talk to a bunch of coaches from Ohio State, Rutgers, Temple, colleges across the country. I actually caught up with a couple old high school coaches from my high school that now coach in college and some other different high schools. So it was a really cool event. A lot of kids, almost 1,000 campers there. Maybe it was 1,000. I don't even know, but I saw guys in like the 900 numbers. So it was a really great event. Brought out a ton of people. Really nice facility there at Fairleigh Dickinson Madison, and it was I think a good event for Ohio State. I would say as far as like them going there and the number of kids out of the 1,000 that they were actually looking at, the number was probably like under 30. So, there's some people, and, I was talking to some people there, and it's like, well, is it really worth it for them to come all this way to for 2017, there was only like two guys really they were looking at in Harrison Hand and Marquise Bell. In 2018, there's probably realistically a handful of guys, maybe a couple 2019 kids. But is it really worth it? But I think, from the perspective, and I wrote the article yesterday on the site about how Ohio State's treated like rock stars there almost. I just think from a brand perspective and then continuing to build their brand in the state of New Jersey, you really got that. The whole camp stopped when Ohio State walked in. People flocked to them wherever they were going. They were just, honestly, it was like, I wasn't really alive during the Elvis Presley days, but I can imagine like when a guy like that walked into a room, it was kind of like that. It was just like, holy cow, that's Urban Meyer. And there was Ohio State. There was people that showed up, I guess just fans that walked in and watched in the stands wearing Ohio State stuff, and a lot of the players wearing Ohio State stuff. It was just a great event, and I think, I said the three goals were probably to build the brand, to evaluate and spend time with kids at camp, and to counter Jim Harbaugh's camp that was 15 minutes away. And I think Ohio State accomplished all three of those goals.
I was going to say, you hit on that. I think the biggest thing here is they wanted to kind of take a shot at Michigan here. Michigan is going crazy with the satellite camps, and, they're, really doing good in New Jersey. And not only is Ohio State setting up shop there, but they're doing it in conjunction with Chris Ash and also Temple. So this is, from my perspective at least, this is all about Ohio State kind of taking its own shot at what Michigan is doing.
Yeah, I actually think this camp in particular was more Rutgers. Harbaugh came into New Jersey last year and took 4 of the top 5 players in the state per the 24/7 Sports Composite rankings. And Ash can't just sit back and take that. He had to do something. And he knows right now, he's building Rutgers, but he knows right now just having a camp with Rutgers and Temple isn't going to be enough to draw kids away from Jim Harbaugh and Michigan. So I'm sure he called in a favor to Ohio State. But then, to your point, at the same time, Urban Meyer's sitting there, and he's like, all right, Chris, I'll help you. Number one, because it helps me, but number two, because it hurts Michigan. And I think, there is kind of an arms race in college football right now with these satellite camps. Harbaugh's leading it. I think he's in Ann Arbor maybe like 3 days in the month of June. He's just been traveling around the country and the world, really. I think they're doing one in Australia or whatever, an American Samoa, whatever, doing these satellite camps. And I think it's getting a little too much. I think the NCAA is going to have to make a rule that, you get like no more than 2 or 3 camps off of your own campus per year. So I think something's going to change. But right now, Ohio State, I don't think they want to do it. I think they're doing it because they can and they kind of have to because other people and their competitors in Michigan and other schools are doing it. So, it's a great opportunity for Ohio State to go out and see kids that maybe they wouldn't get to see otherwise that can't afford to come visit Ohio State. Or maybe they just don't get to evaluate them on a normal basis. But at the same time, I don't think this is what Ohio State wants to be doing. I just think they kind of feel like they have to be doing it.
Let's take a gander at the other side of the country. Let's talk about Tate Martell, Las Vegas Bishop Gorman High School #1 dual threat quarterback in the country. I know you had an interesting update on the site yesterday. Alex, tell the listeners the latest about Tate Martell.
Yeah, Tate Martell. He'll be visiting this weekend. Luke Stampini had a great article from Tate that we slotted to our site. Check that out if you haven't. It's a free article. Tate talking about Ohio State and just kind of what he really likes. And you hear him, and Luke is a Florida guy. He has if anything, he's probably anti-Urban Meyer at this point. So, like the rest of the Florida guys. So I think if you read that, it's an objective article, and I think it's pretty telling as to where things stand with Tate Martell. I think Ohio State is in a great spot. I've been hearing for a while, as we've said on the BM5 and on the site before, that Tate Martell continues to tell Ohio State the right things. Ohio State, I think, was number 2 on his list when he was committed to Texas A&M after that visit, and he decommits. And to me, that Ohio State's now number 1. And I think Cal as a player, Jake Spavital, who was his recruiter at Texas A&M, is now there. That was a big part of him decommitting outside of a few other things going on there in College Station. And, it's kind of all the pieces are falling in the right place. I mean, Ohio State or Cal, I know he's a California guy. If you wanted to argue USC, but it just seems like Cal's running number 2 right now. I think him coming back, bringing his entire family for a visit. His grandfather lives in Ohio, went to Ohio State. He fits the system like a glove. He's the perfect quarterback for Urban Meyer's system. Some people would argue at 5'11", he's a couple inches too short, but Drew Brees or Russell Wilson would probably laugh at you if you tried to argue that. And you know what? It's college. I don't think he needs to be 6'2", 6'3" to be a quarterback. And I think Ohio State, he's clearly their number 1 guy. They haven't gone all in on Kellen Mond. I don't think they're completely sold on Kellen Mond, but I think they're completely sold on Tate Martell being their guy, and I think they got a great chance to land him. One of my sources thinks it could happen within the next, 48 hours or 72 hours, whatever it is, by the time he leaves his visit. I'm a little bit more skeptical of that. I think Tate's a good kid, but I think he also likes the limelight a little bit, the spotlight. I think he would want to make an announcement on his terms, not just kind of like tweet out from his visit, hey, I'm committed to Ohio State now. I think maybe silently he'll continue to say the right things and maybe even tell them, hey guys, I'm 100% in, and then make the announcement on his term. But I could definitely see it happen this summer, and my crystal ball stays on Ohio State.
Well, that's good news for the Buckeyes. I was going to ask you, it's probably too early to say that Martell is on commit watch. We wouldn't say he's on commit watch this weekend, or might we say that?
Heck, I'm watching him. I think, again, I don't think people got on me on the site for saying it's not his style. They're like, oh, well, what do you mean it's his style? He made 2 commitments. Well, one of them was in 8th grade to Washington, which he kind of pulled the trigger a little too early, realized it, backtracked, committed to Texas A&M, thought he was going to go there. His main recruiter leaves. The wheels are coming off the bus for Kevin Sumlin. So he kind of said, you know what, I'm going to take a step back. I saw some other schools. I'm going to make, a decision. I do think his next decision is going to be the right one, but I think he likes the spotlight. I mean, he announced the top 7, then 2 days later, it's the top 6, 2 days later, it's the top 5. I think he wants the moment to make that announcement. So I do think he could commit this weekend. I think people have to be watching, but I think it may end up being a silent, and then maybe he does it at some point this summer, and, sometime in the near future says, oh, I'm going to announce my commitment X date, like Tyjon Lindsey did. And I think Tyjon Lindsey, when you announce a date, you know where you're going. You don't just announce a date not knowing where you're going. And I think Tyjon Lindsey knows, in my opinion, I think he knows he's going to Ohio State.
Let me ask you a general college football question. I found this interesting. Dan Rubin asked me this question in my chat yesterday. After Deshaun Watson, who is the best quarterback in college football?
Oh, man, that is a tough one. I'm trying to think. I mean, there's a lot of talent in college football. I think. Would you
put Baker Mayfield ahead of JT Barrett or Brad? I mean, there's a Mitch Leidner is ranked as the number 1 senior quarterback in the country by Mel Kiper, which I can't believe. You know, it's a bad year for senior quarterbacks when Mitch Leidner is ranked as the number 1 senior quarterback in the country by Mel Kiper. But go ahead.
That's not good. I mean, Deshaun Kaiser's a good quarterback. Baker Mayfield, JT Barrett, Brad Kaya. There's a lot of good quarterbacks in college football, and I don't want to talk about projection as a pro, because I think when you talk about college football, as an Ohio State fan, you don't care. Like, you want your guys to do well, but if they bring you a national championship, like Troy Smith brought Ohio State a national championship, you could care less, that he wasn't that great in the NFL or whatever. And same with Cardale. You're going to be very thankful he brought you that national championship. You want him to do well, but if he doesn't pan out, he doesn't pan out. I mean, he still brought you a national championship. So for college football, I think you got to look at Baker Mayfield and JT Barrett probably as the next two. And for me, I watch Baker a lot. I didn't get to watch him as much as I watched JT Barrett. I just think JT Barrett's a gamer. And when he's cut loose the way he was cut loose against Michigan and Notre Dame, and I think if he's such a hard worker and a great leader, and he continues to develop as a passer, I think that's the big key. I would take JT Barrett any day of the week, and I just think it depends what system you're going to run. I think, those two would probably be right up there. And, if I had to pick a guy to win me a game, I like JT Barrett. I'll go to battle with JT Barrett any day of the week.
That was my answer, too. I mean, it's a tough call between JT Barrett and Baker Mayfield, and I feel like I'm picking Barrett because I'm more familiar with him. Maybe that's the case. I don't know. But, yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I know what he can do. I'll go to war with that kid any day.
Yeah, I think Josh Rosen's going to be pretty good this year, too, out at UCLA. And I think there's a couple other guys. I'm going to have to take a look around college football and take a look at some lists and maybe get back to you, Dave. But that's a good question. I would outside of Deshaun Watson, I would go to battle with JT Barrett any day of the week.
We know one thing: Urban Meyer can evaluate some quarterbacks now. Look at these quarterbacks on the list. Deshaun Watson, he went all in on him, didn't get him, but the year before that he got JT Barrett, and we've seen what he's done since then, getting guys like Joe Burrow and Dwayne Haskins. Hopefully now he'll get Tate Martell if you're an Ohio State fan. Great stuff, as always, out of Alex Gleitman. Thank you very much, Alex. One quick note here. Congratulations to Ronnie Dawson, was selected in the second round of the Major League Baseball draft last night by the Houston Astros. Ronnie Dawson was an absolute star at Ohio State this past season. First team All-Big Ten, third team All-American, and you go in the second round of the Major League Baseball draft, you're going to get a signing bonus of over $1 million. So congratulations to Ronnie Dawson. Thanks again to Alex Gleitman, and thanks to the listeners out there for tuning into the show. I appreciate it. Hope you all have a great day and a great weekend. Let's hear some Buckeye swag, best damn band in the land.